I'm gonna be honest with you here. I've been saying this since I saw The Last Jedi, and I'll continue to say it right now. Star Wars is not the same under George Lucas. When Disney bought Star Wars, I was happy because that meant I was gonna see more Star Wars movies revolving around Luke, Leia, and Han Solo. But that was a huge disappointment, and it took me until I saw The Last Jedi to see that this Star Wars is not the one that I grew up with. Now, if you're watching this video and you say, well, Carlos is just a huge success and you're just on and no. I grew up with Star Wars. I actually have the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and the original trilogy, the original trilogy on Blu-ray and DVD. I also have Rogue One, and unfortunately I made the mistake of purchasing The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. But here's the thing. I grew up with the prequels. Now, some people will say, well, the prequels suck, but I'm telling you right now, compared to the sequel trilogy right now, the prequels look like masterpieces. And if the prequels look like a masterpiece, then the original trilogy is like otherworldly. See what I mean? When people started criticizing Star Wars over the fact that over the fact that it wasn't the same as the original trilogy, I was on the defense of Disney. For example, when it came to The Force Awakens, people were saying that Star Wars, The Force Awakens, it doesn't have any interesting characters. Rey is a Mary Sue, and I was thinking, I don't think she is. Now, as I rewatched The Force Awakens again on Blu-ray when I got it, I started seeing that, you know what, maybe they have a point. Because think about it. How many times has Rey failed ever since The Force Awakens? In The Force Awakens, can you name me one failure of Rey? One personal failure? One flaw? What about The Last Jedi? Can you name me a flaw that Rey has in The Last Jedi? What about a failure? She doesn't have any. She's perfect. And that means she's not relatable. For example, Luke Skywalker. In the original trilogy, you could relate to Luke Skywalker. He is the son of the most powerful being in the galaxy. Arguably, of course. But he's the son of the most powerful being in the galaxy. And yet, he has so many flaws. Yeah, he is the son of Anakin Skywalker. But he needs to train himself to use the Force. He needs to train himself on how to fight with a lightsaber. Rey? She's the daughter of two nobodies. Two nobodies, as of what we know from The Last Jedi. She's the daughter of two nobodies, and yet she has never been taught how to fight with a lightsaber, and yet she's able to beat an experienced lightsaber duelist on her first try. She has never piloted a ship before. The only thing she has for a ship is just a little tiny land speeder, and she's able to pilot the Millennium Falcon perfectly on her first try. She has never heard of the Force before, and yet she's able to use it perfectly on her first try. You get the rhythm here? Do you get the consistency? Rey is perfect, therefore not relatable. Luke Skywalker is flawed, therefore he's relatable. Even Anakin Skywalker, who was born from the Force, he was flawed as well, therefore making him at least a somewhat relatable character. But when I saw when I saw Disney butchering Star Wars, I kind of had enough. The Last Jedi was like the final one for a thing. I was thinking, you know what? This is horrible. They killed off two of my favorite characters already. Not to mention the last surviving one in the trilogy, Leia. The actress is already dead, so we can't remake another Star Wars movie. We can't start over. We can't. As much as we want to, because I'm thinking, you know what? No, you know what? The people are saying we can just remake the whole trilogy. We can just forget that the sequel trilogy never happened. We can just make it non-canon. How? Leia is gone. Carrie Fisher died. Harrison Ford is sick of Star Wars. Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, he got so fed up with Disney Star Wars that he got pissed off. He got really pissed off. The guy doesn't like Disney's version of Star Wars, and he hates seeing his most beloved character being butchered. He hates it. I hate it. I hated it. Trust me, I did. But now I'm happy seeing that the media is actually acknowledging that Star Wars is not good under Disney, at least somewhat. At least, I mean, that's what we're getting from here. But the article's from Bloomberg, and it reads, Star Wars is struggling to win over the next generation of kids. This article's from yesterday, and it reads, it's hard to say this, as someone who grew up pretending to be Han Solo battling Darth Vader and his stormtroopers to rescue Princess Leia, but it must be said, kids might not be into Star Wars anymore. Walt Disney's underwhelming theme park attendance last quarter was the latest sign that the intergalactic saga isn't resonating for younger generations, raised on Iron Man and Fortnite. Chief Executive Officer Bob Iger was so sure fans would be blasting through the door that he had instituted a reservation system for visitors who enter Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the new attraction at Disneyland. It turned out not to be necessary. Star Wars toy sales popped with 2015's The Force Awakens, the start of the trilogy that united Han, Luke, and Leia. Correction: it only reunited Han and Leia. Luke Skywalker was never reunited with those two. Even then, Luke wasn't reunited with Leia physically because he just sent his force projection towards Leia, so they never physically reunited. So that's a correction right there, dude. Anyways, with a new band of heroes, but have some sense. Solo, a Star Wars story, last year's spin-off featuring the backstory of beloved characters, utterly Bond. The Last Jedi, the second in the new trilogy, was profitable but fell shy of its predecessor's performance. The next installment, The Rise of Skywalker, will have the very future of the franchise riding on it when it debuts in December. There wasn't supposed to be such a disturbance in the Force. When Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012 for $4.05 billion, it already had a template for the intricate web of sequels and spin-offs it hoped to create around the Star Wars brand. Marvel Entertainment, acquired 3 years earlier, had rolled out a series of interrelated movies with characters who went on to join up in the blockbuster Avengers movie, then Disney's most successful ever. The films are supposed to combine with TV projects and the theme parks to create a virtuous cycle. When fans get excited for each new iteration, when can immerse themselves into the world of their heroes. There was every reason to believe Star Wars would have a similar path with its endearing droids, otherworldly life forms, and minor characters like Lando Calrissian and Boba Fett who inspired their own cult followings. Instead, some of the franchise's most dedicated fans have been siping at the way Disney has handled their favorite characters from the old movies, and the new trilogy's heroes like Rey and Poe Dameron just haven't inspired the same fervor among young people, with toy sales falling flat around each new installment. The Disneyland attraction, along with Star Wars Land opening at Disney World in Florida this year, are designed as much for older dudes as they are for tykes, with a Millennium Falcon themed ride and cantina when you can debate whether Greedo shot first over vodka cocktails called Bloody Rankers. Iger has attributed disappointing box office figures to Star Wars fatigue and has pledged to slow down the tempo of releases, but that doesn't square with the success of Marvel, which reliably churns out a blockbuster every 4 to 6 months. Some people delayed their visit to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge because they thought it would be overwhelmed by tourists when it opened. Iger said Tuesday, channeling Yogi Berra. In other words, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. I want to go break here and go back to the previous paragraph. Star Wars fatigue. I don't think that's it. Think about it like this: Star Wars, the original trilogy has 3 movies. The sequel trilogy, the prequel trilogy has 3 movies, total of 6. Then you have Rogue One, Solo, the Force Awakens, and the Last Jedi. Okay, that's 10 movies in total. Marvel has over 20 movies, and yet every single time they release in theaters, people want to watch them. Why? Because they're well-written movies. They're interesting characters. They're flawed characters. You catch my drift? Star Wars, on the other hand, has only 10 movies in total. It had 6 as of 2005. That's when the prequel trilogy ended. But as of 2005, they only had 6 movies. Now they have 10 movies as of 2019, but I don't think it's Star Wars fatigue. It's a matter of fact that the characters are not interesting enough. And people see Rey, Finn, and Poe as characters that are bland, that we don't even feel invested to. They feel like cheap knockoffs of their original characters, such as Han, Leia, and Luke. They feel just like that. They feel like cheap knockoffs because they're not interesting. They're not. Rey is flawless. She's not relatable. I can relate to Rey. I can't cheer her on when she's fighting, Snoke's elite guard and seeing her flawlessly killing every single one of them without a simple scratch. Well, correct it. She got scratched on the shoulder, I think, by a lightsaber. But oh my god, that is so bad. Oh my god, I can't believe it. No, it was really annoying seeing her fight flawlessly against so-called supposedly elite guards, pretty much. Those who are trained, right? Elite. Those are elite. Well, I hate to see the less experienced ones, because if a rookie with no lightsaber training manages to actually beat the elite guards of Snoke, then defeating the First Order should be a walk in the park for Rey. I mean, like, really. I mean, come on. We can't ignore it. But again, I don't think Star Wars fatigue. It's just people who are sick of seeing bad characters in a good franchise. That's pretty much what it is. Some people, anyways, they keep going. So, where are they going instead? One clue could be rising attendance over at Universal Studios Hollywood, where the Wizarding World of Harry Potter saw an increase in spring break visitors last quarter, fueling sales of souvenirs and butterbeer. Disney plans to parlay the robust Marvel properties into theme park attractions of their own, but isn't giving up on Star Wars by any stretch. Along with The Rise of Skywalker, the company is debuting a live-action Star Wars TV series, The Mandalorian, later this year on its new streaming service. The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson is developing a new trilogy, and the creators of Game of Thrones are working on a movie. This may be a hiatus, but Disney spent a lot of money on Lucasfilm and is going to keep investing to make it a success. We build these things for the long term, Iger said on Galaxy's Edge, or as Jedi might say, patience you must have. That concludes the article. But like I said, I don't think it's a matter of just simply Star Wars fatigue. I think it's just badly written characters in general. Because again, I tell you this right, I grew up with the prequel trilogy. I grew up with Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I grew up with Padme Amidala. Those were my trio. Those were the people that I grew up with as a kid. I had no idea that the original trilogy existed at the time. But again, I wasn't really the richest kid on the block. So again, I was pretty much late to the party. But I'm glad that I showed up to the party anyway. Point is, I grew up with the prequel trilogy. I had the Phantom Menace on VHS. When I got cable, I saw that they were premiering the prequel trilogy. I think it was on FX. I think it was. And I watched Attack of the Clones. Okay. And again, you know, not really the prequel trilogy, because again, I remember watching the Revenge of the Sith in the theaters. But when I saw that FX was premiering the Phantom Menace and the Attack of the Clones on the day of the premiere for Revenge of the Sith, I think it was, I remember watching Attack of the Clones because I wanted to watch it. I was like, you know what, it's before this one, I want to watch it. So I watched Attack of the Clones. I liked it. I thought it was better than the Phantom Menace. But again, I liked it. And then when I saw Revenge of the Sith, for me, it was heartbreaking. Not because it was a bad movie, but because when I was a kid, I always wanted to be just one character, and that was Anakin Skywalker. I liked Anakin Skywalker. I thought the dude was awesome. I thought he was amazing. Not to mention, he was the chosen one. And I liked Anakin Skywalker. He was flawed. For a guy born from the Force itself, the guy had a lot of problems. He was fearful of losing people he was close to. He was at the same time also a little bit cocky, but that also helped him in many cases because you saw him succeed. When he fought Count Dooku, also, you know, the student under Yoda, the most powerful Jedi in the Order, as of what we know from Star Wars. When he fought against Dooku, do you think Anakin won the first fight? Not even close. He lost an arm. Now, had it been Rey fighting Count Dooku, chances are Rey would have won with zero experience against one of the most experienced duelists in the galaxy at the time. I guarantee you that. Had it been Rey versus Dooku, Rey would have won because reasons, right? Because of reasons. I can't even name them. That's the thing. Because of reasons, right? Because she's the hero. Well, to some degree, Anakin was somewhat the hero of the trilogy. He was mostly the main focus of the prequel trilogy. Is how Anakin became Darth Vader and how the Empire came to be. But even then, Anakin had his losses. He had his share of failures. Even in the Clone Wars animated series, he had his own share of failures throughout the whole series. And I like seeing that. Because for a guy that is so powerful, it's clear that he still has much to learn. He has so much potential ahead of him, and I want to see him reach that potential, right? I wanted to see that. I want to see Anakin fulfill his destiny as the strongest being in the whole galaxy. That's what I wanted to see. And every time I saw Anakin fail, I was relieved because I knew that Anakin had much more room for improvement. Again, the Clone Wars animated series came out after Revenge of the Sith, but even Attack of the Clones, I like seeing Anakin fail because it meant that he had so much potential ahead of him that he had still had room to improve. Revenge of the Sith broke my heart because, again, I was 8 years old. It was 2005. I actually bugged my mom and said, hey, can we go watch Revenge of the Sith? Can we go watch Revenge of the Sith? And so I was like, okay, fine, we'll go watch it. At the age of 8, I cried like a baby because I saw my most beloved character, the character that I cheered on every single time when he fought. It broke my heart seeing him become Darth Vader. Again, I had no knowledge of the original trilogy at the time, so all this was new to me. It was not expected. But it was heartbreaking for me to see Anakin Skywalker become Darth Vader. But at the same time, I understood why. He already lost his mom. You know, he was afraid of losing his wife, and he was going to be a father. So imagine losing 4 people that you're close to. That's really frightening. And again, I didn't blame him. And I didn't blame him for turning to the dark side, but it was heartbreaking nonetheless seeing Anakin going from a guy that had so much potential to a guy that pretty much is just a robot at this point. He's more machine than man, to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi. But if we can, at the age of 8, that was heartbreaking for me. I remember leaving the theater that day in tears because I saw my favorite character at the time, and I still continue to see my favorite character. I saw my favorite character turn into an evil individual, and for me, that was heartbreaking. I remember I remember a specific scene in Revenge of the Sith when Anakin was going to raid the Jedi Temple and kill all the Jedi. I remember during that whole scene, I kept saying, "No, please stop! Don't do this! Don't do this!" I kept literally going, "No, no, no! Just stop! Please don't go deeper into the rabbit hole." And every time he did, it was just more saddening for me because, again, this is my favorite character. And as a kid, that says a lot. Especially, again, Revenge of the Sith is really dark if you see it as a kid. Again, especially with Anakin Skywalker doing the things that he did, it was really heartbreaking. But that's the thing, though. These characters were relatable. You could actually enjoy them and say, you know what? You can cheer them on when they're fighting for good, and then when they're doing something bad, you can say, no, no, don't do it, don't do it. In my case, with Anakin Skywalker. Eventually, I heard that obviously the original trilogy was already on VHS at the time. Again, I'm really old, and I was also really poor. I didn't really have a DVD player. But when I saw that, when I went to a yard sale and I saw that the person was selling the original trilogy on the VHS cassettes, when I saw they were selling them, I asked him how much. He said $10. I ended up paying them $10. That's the amount of money my parents gave me. I was like, okay, you're gonna get $10. That you can spend on whatever you want, but you're not getting any more. The first time we stopped, the first yard sale, I saw the guy was selling us how much? $10. Here you go. For 3 VHS tapes for the original trilogy. My mom was like, really, Carlos? I was like, yeah. I got like, okay, fine, but you better not ask me for more money. Throughout the entire day, I didn't ask for any money. I was just in awe, thinking, oh my god, I have the next 3 movies. And I was excited. I saw the original trilogy. I loved it just as much as the prequels. And Return of the Jedi, for me, that was a good ending for me. Anakin was redeemed. I was happy seeing the error of his ways. It brought a tear to my eye. It brought tears to my eyes, seeing that Anakin finally redeemed himself. But when I heard that Disney was getting Star Wars, I was happy because, again, we're going to get more Star Wars movies. But then they butchered it, and honestly, I couldn't have been more sad and more pissed off that my beloved franchise was so mishandled that now people don't even want to, and people don't even care about it anymore. And it's really sad. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Disney is handling Star Wars perfectly fine right now? Do you appreciate at least the media finally saying that Star Wars isn't doing so well? Considering that the fans like me, people like Geeks and Gamers, like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, Josiah from Josiah Rises, do you finally, agree with the fans saying that Star Wars is not the same as it used to be? Or do you think that it's just Star Wars fatigue? Which like I said in the video, I stated my arguments for why it's not Star Wars fatigue. But let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, subscribe, hit the notifications button as well. Also hit the like button and share the video as well because YouTube has decided to derank independent commentary. I don't know if this is going to be deranked because, again, I don't see it as a political video. But you never know. So you liking the video and sharing the video does help out a lot. Again, this is going to be the second segment. If you want to stick around for the third segment, it's going to be talking about a video that I covered yesterday regarding the reboot of Home Alone and the star of the franchise, and I consider him the star of the franchise. The star of the franchise has spoken. I saw the article this morning, and I couldn't have been more happy. I'm going to read it with you guys for the first time in this channel, so hopefully you guys can stick around for that. But if you can't, hopefully you guys can just watch it later on throughout the day. But if you can't stick around, have a good rest of the day. And if you can stick around, I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right? Stay awesome.